Microsoft briefly took over Apple on Thursday as the world's most valuable company.
It's not a business services company like Microsoft is.
Microsoft actually climbing.
Big tech names, Microsoft and Apple, battle it out.
Hello guys, have you ever wondered when we think about technology and gadgets, various devices such as laptops, phone and tablets are the first thing that comes to our mind. In case of laptops, when we think more, our option might spread across different brands, but we often end up choosing between two big names for the operating system, Microsoft's Windows or Apple's macOS. And for smartphone, who doesn't dream of owning an iPhone? Yes, Apple again. So you see, we are so majorly surrounded by this tech giant, making it hard to find someone who hasn't heard of them. So how Microsoft and Apple became such household names? One reason is the rivalry between them of becoming the leader at the tech industry always made them to stay at the top level. Constant improvement of product quality and providing top-notch service for the end consumer. Also, did you ever notice Microsoft, which recently became the world's most valuable company, has no official store near you? That's because they have only 3 physical stores around the world, which they call it as Microsoft Experience Center, and Apple having only 520 official stores around the world, with the few countries having no single store yet. So you might be wondering, how does some store near your location sell iPhones or Microsoft products? They are an authorized resellers, where they have partnered and entered into a contractual relationship where they can sell the product with the brand. But why haven't this top tech company focused more on launching their own branded store everywhere? It is because of the mixed strategy where the company emphasizes quality over quantity in terms of their retail presence. Also, they have made a strong online sales platform that allow customers worldwide to purchase their product without needing any physical store nearby. But how did their management work to keep up all this thing? Also an intense rivalry, always aiming to outdo each other. Interestingly, back in 1997, Microsoft even saved Apple from financial ruin. This rivalry is a full roller coaster ride. Let's dive into the video to uncover the story behind the rivalry. After hyping so much about both the company, isn't it important for us to know how the seed grew into a larger one? How were the seeds sowed? What were the obstacles they faced while setting it up? Microsoft was started in 1985, where they started by developing software for Altair, one of the first microcomputers, and 1 year later their biggest rival was born. Yes, Apple was formed, which began with designing the Apple I computer, which was essentially a circuit board without a keyboard or display, and Apple recognized its potential for the emerging personal computer market. So you would have noticed that from the initial days, Microsoft was focusing on developing software and Apple was more into innovation and design. It was the year 1984 when Apple launched the original Macintosh. It was a revolutionary computer with a graphical user interface that was unlike anything most users have experienced at the time. However, for the Macintosh to succeed, it needed software that could take advantage of its unique capabilities. Microsoft, which was already a successful software company by then, was one of the earliest major developers to support the Macintosh platform. They developed and released Microsoft Word and Excel for the Macintosh. With Excel was particularly significant because it was the first version of Excel ever released, and before it was available for Windows. And the year passed. 1985 was full ups and downs for both companies, or it would be fair to say that it was majorly down for Apple as they fired its co-founder because of conflicts between Steve Jobs and the board members, as the vision was not aligning. While for Microsoft, they were working hard and constantly upgrading themselves, starting with the launch of their own OS, Windows first version, and over time they worked for evolution. By the time Windows 2.0 was released, but Apple claimed that Microsoft Windows operating system had the same look and feel of its own operating system, and they filed a lawsuit against Microsoft in 1988. The court battle dragged on for several years. Ultimately, in 1993, the courts ruled largely in the favor of Microsoft, finding that the most of its elements Apple has claimed were copyrighted did not actually qualify for the copyright protection under the US law. While it was so much chaos in the tech market, Microsoft was gaining people trust and were growing at a higher pace, and problems continued for Apple. Downside for Apple isn't over until 1996 when Steve Jobs again returned to its company and took control in his hand. One of the Jobs' first significant acts upon returning was to stabilize Apple's financial situation and restore confidence among both consumer and developers. The company have faced significant financial losses, declining market share. Apple's operating system was also seen as outdated compared to the competition. With such drastic situation, Microsoft came forward and invested $150 million to save the company. This partnership was significant for several reasons. Financially, it boosted Apple's cash reserve and signaled to the industry that Apple was a valuable company with a future. It also reassured Mac users and developers that the major software titles like Microsoft Office would continue to be available on the Mac platform, which was crucial for maintaining and growing the user base. Apple had a sign of relief and started with the thing that they were best known for, that is innovation. They introduced a series of successful products starting with iMac, which was followed by iPod, iPhone and iPad, and Microsoft continued with their regular software development and upgrading alongside. For both companies, business were doing insanely good as both companies made consumer feels brand as household names. During the course of time, the business model for Apple entirely shifted to smart technology devices and advanced computer, such as iPhone and iPads. These were the biggest trend for the company. Also, Apple's ecosystem the company provided managed to gain millions of loyal customers. For Microsoft, who is a leader in the software industry, initially focused on software, but they diversified their offerings over time. From Windows operating system to cloud computing services with Azure, Microsoft adapted to the changing market trends and expanded their revenue streams. Instead of shying away from competition, for example, they entered the gaming industry with the Xbox console, competing directly with established players like Sony, and also tried to enter mobile industry with the acquisition of Nokia for competing the Android companies like Samsung, which was a fail for. Like there is always two sides of the case. Being so strong and effective business model, there are weakness attached to it. For Apple, the biggest revenue generator, iPhone, which roughly contributes to 60%, has become one of the weakness as any decline in iPhone sales, whether due to market situation or changing consumer preference, could pose a serious threat to Apple's revenue. Also, the products from Apple are considered as luxury items due to high prices, which are not affordable for low-income consumers, which is causing them to lose a good percentage of consumers also. With the increase in cybercrime cases, it made Microsoft in a weakened state, as their OS have been faced attacks from hackers from several times. Also, with increase in competition and better offerings for the cloud business by Amazon Web Service and Google Cloud Platform have impacted their revenue too. With the weakness comes the part that is responsible for the solution of the obstacle, which are generally taken by none other than the brain behind the company, the CEOs, the Chief Executive Officer, one who makes the most crucial decision that is best for the organization. So, there is always a famous saying, with great power comes great responsibility, and both companies' CEO try to handle it very carefully. After regime of the founders, the CEO and the management have worked really well to stay at the top. The current CEOs of Microsoft and Apple, both Satya Nadella and Tim Cook, have worked on transforming the company's culture a lot. Satya Nadella emphasized the growth mindset, encouraging innovation and learning from failures, moving away from more aggressive competition culture. And Tim Cook emphasized on design and innovation while also focusing on social responsibility and environmental issues. Cut to its current scenario, both Microsoft and Apple are making new headlines each day. For Microsoft, be it to becoming most valuable company, and you have noticed the company love acquiring new business and upgrading themselves, like for Xbox and Nokia. Recently, they made huge investment in OpenAI. For Apple, it was a pretty mix at the start of 2024. Apple saw a steep decline in iPhone sales quarter, and with the launch of the new Apple Vision Pro, it just changed the way people see. It's the rivalry which made both Apple and Microsoft remain mafias in the tech industry. With diversified product portfolios, they have not only set a standard for excellence, whether you are a die-hard Apple fan or a dedicated Windows user or someone who appreciates both, they have to offer. The impact of Apple and Microsoft rivalry on the technology we use is undeniable. So with this, we come to the end of our video. If you really enjoyed the video and found something insightful, do share with your friends, drop a like and subscribe for more.